At the moment, I'm putting the jam on the bottle. This is the jam. The green at the bottom. So you're sitting at the piano and you're having fun. That is the reason why we do this, right? The jam, the red that I'm putting on the bottle at the moment, is the pieces that your teacher has asked you to do. Usually there's about 3, but there might not be, so you wouldn't use all of these. And there's a little handle and you turn this round, and on the bottle I have written, I don't know whether you can see that, today. Can you see where I have written today? That arrow lines up with the practice target that you've got. So I've done the pieces, now I'm doing the butter. So the middle layer of your practice. The butter represents the other things that your teacher might ask you to do, aside from the pieces. Not scales and arpeggios, not those. This might be a bit of theory, it might be sight reading, it might be an activity that will move your understanding on. If the idea of playing music that really, really speaks to you, that's this. And everything that is going on the bottle now, these are the things that will help you get there. The butter is now on the toast. And then at the top, we have the toast itself. Notice they're quite a thin band. The bands get fatter and fatter the further down they go, because this is what you're aiming for. This is where you're aiming for. These will be supporting everything up here, and these will be supporting what's above and what's below, and what I'm putting on now will support the whole lot. Scales and arpeggios are the foundation. They offer you technical expertise. They offer you knowledge in the form of key signatures, which helps with music in the red. This is what this is all about. When you're doing a practice, give everything a little bit of time. Even if it's only a teeny weeny bit of time, it's better than nothing. Absolutely a waste of your time. It's like not actually managing to get the butter and the jam on your toast. If you just do scales for your whole session, it's a hollow experience. It's a bit like eating the toast at the end that has got nothing on it. And I have to say, even if you only do your pieces, it's better than nothing. Even if you only do scales, it's better than nothing. But to give you the proper opportunity for development, you need to do a little bit of everything. Starting with the toast at the top. So I'm going to start labelling these now. What we have here is warm-ups, and around the band I'm going to write what format these warm-ups might take. Well, there might be a little bit of something physical. There we go. Your teacher might have set you something to do with technique, so technical. For example, I like to teach relaxation and a way of using gravity to help, and using the wrists in our piano playing. Now, another form of your warm-ups is actually to practice, this is real practice, scales that you already know and can play. I can turn that round so that the arrow is pointing to which one I'm going to do. So we come down to the next one down, and this is scales and arpeggios. I'm going to use my abbreviation again. Scales / arpeggios. So it's quite likely that you will have something new from your teacher to learn. It's not really practice if you're having to learn it. And I'm going to write learning on my next label down. Remember, this is the toast. This is the absolute foundation of everything you do. Learning. It's probably written in your notebook from your last lesson, but that's the one or the ones that you've been asked to learn. Go over it until it's feeling confident, and the next day you'll build on that, and by the end you will have it pretty much well secure. If you don't worry about it. Make a note to mention it to your teacher, and your teacher will really see that you're engaged in your journey and will be a pleasure to help you move it on so that you can have a more successful session with it the following week. Teachers love that. Engagement. I'm going to repeat this scales and arpeggios known. It has to be done at some point in your practice session. You don't want to be letting that go. So when you're actually doing scales and arpeggios, it might be learning, or it might be practicing what you've already can do. Scales and arpeggios known. We forget things, right? Normal, human. All right, so I've done the toast. The toast, the foundations of everything, the whole breakfast experience is there. Now I'm going to come to the butter, right? So the yellow butter. What we might have here is, I've got two here, okay? And one is for learning something new that your teacher has asked you to do. And it might be sight reading. It might be a sight reading activity with something specific in mind. Or it might be a page of theory, or it might be, or I like to use magnet boards, it might be a magnet board activity, and it's where you are really learning, trying to get to grips with a concept. Keep your target in mind and aim towards it. Notice I said towards it. It can take more than one session to get there. But this is why we practice every day. It's like building blocks. You can't build the top of a wall until you've built the bottom. Sometimes there's an overlap between learning and practice, you may have noticed. When you are learning things and practicing, going over things on your piano at home, always do it mindfully. Notice things, notice your thoughts, notice your feelings. Something that you already know in a different context, such as a different book, for example. Always notice those things. Right, so now we come to the pieces. Now, I've already said you might not need all of these. You might only need one, you might need all of them. Now, I am going to suggest on all of these that you write on the tab the title of the piece that you're learning. So you might have a specific target, and that will be coming from your teacher. Target. So I'm going to write target in the first one. Another one would be to run through, and I don't mean run through the whole piece. You might not have done the whole piece. You might have done a section, either hands separately or hands together, but I would call it, do a run through and see how it goes. So I'm going to write run through. I'm a big fan of spot practice. So you've located a few little areas. Now in spot practice, you would not play the piece of music from the start all over again. It's a waste of time, because what you're really wanting to do is for, if this is good, this is flowing well in your music and this is where you need to bring your attention. If you're just playing it through all over again, it's just going to go like this. And what you really want is for this to catch up so that the bits that need the attention are levelling up there. So don't play from the beginning every single time. So spot practice. Slow down the tempo to a practice tempo. Hands separately to really focus on a bit that's causing troubles. I'm a big fan of making things difficult to make things easier. So try changing the rhythm. Try doubling up the notes. Another good one is to put a book on your head. See if you can keep it there while you're playing. You have to focus on other things. And then when you strip it all of that away and go back to playing it in its regular form, it's so easy. This is harder for easier. That's what I'm writing here. So it depends what comes up in your run through. So you've got your target, that's really important, but there are obviously other ways that you can practice. It's nice to mix things up because we don't want to get bored. It's like doing exercise. You don't go the same route every single time. You don't do the same things every single time. You just mix things up a little bit. Now, obviously, later on, I'm going to do a copy of that band on these two here. And on the green band, I'm not going to write anything at all,